I was camping up in Northern California, and I was just getting ready for my afternoon meditation. So I'm in my camper van, and I always do some stretching beforehand just to prepare my body to sit. And as I'm doing my stretching, I hear my neighbor turning on some music, and I'm kind of like a little resisting going on. It gets really loud. It's Led Zeppelin, and they are just playing it super, super loud. And I'm thinking, well, maybe they're going to adjust it back down. And no, it just stays up pretty loud. And my mind is immediately pushing back and resisting because I'm about to meditate. And the whole park should be quiet at this hour, right? No one should be partying. No one should be celebrating. This is a quiet park, right? So these are all the thoughts I'm pushing back on. I mean, what kind of rude people would do this, would play the music so loud? And I decide in that moment, okay, I'm not even going to meditate. Like, there is just no point of meditating. I'm going to be too distracted. And while I decided I wasn't going to meditate, I didn't decide to stop resisting. I kept persisting with these thoughts. I kept stewing about it, kept telling myself how my neighbors were psychopaths, because who would do this? It's so rude. It's so horrible. And so I'm telling myself all these stories about how horrible my neighbors are, who are very nice people, by the way. But in that moment, I hated them. And so I realized, I'm like, well, I'm still unhappy. Like, I'm not meditating, but I'm still unhappy. I'm not letting this go. And then, like these things do, you do years of practice, years of meditating, or months of meditating and practice and listening to teachings. All of a sudden, a story came through that I had heard in the past. And it was from this great master talking about he was out meditating and the village was playing music and how he was so irritated. And I realized, I'm like, it's not the music that's the problem. It's what I'm telling myself. This is far more distracting and annoying than the music that they're playing. And in that moment, I decided, okay, I am going to sit and meditate, but I'm going to be crystal clear about what the disturbance is. It's not the music. It's what I'm telling myself about why they shouldn't be doing it, why the resisting to the music. And as I sat to meditate, because I was so on the lookout for what the real disturbance was, anytime one of those little thoughts started to creep up, they shouldn't be, I would see it, or, this is so rude. I would see it and I would just drop it like a hot potato. I'm not even going anywhere near that. And I stayed just on my concentration, on my breath. And by the time the bell went an hour later, I couldn't believe that. I'm like, oh my gosh, it was such a deeply peaceful, tranquil, centered meditation. And even after the meditation, I'm like, oh, and the music's still playing. Okay, it wasn't really a problem at all. And after that, I went for a walk, because this was a big deal for me. Up until then, I had always thought, oh, everything's got to be perfect for my meditation. The irony on me is not lost on that. I've got to meditate and try and get everything perfect for it. And I went for a walk because I thought this really was it was a pretty profound insight for me at that stage. And what I realized that was so powerful about it was that I really did know what the disturbance was going to be ahead of time. I would be triggered by the music and then immediately into the story. And what I decided to come up with was my top 10 playlist of of my most annoying thoughts. Because the problem for us is that we don't know what our next thought is going to be. None of us knows. Even though they are recurring themes, and we are really just rehashing the same thoughts day after day, they're still mixed up in enough of a kind of a raffle that we keep getting caught off guard. So I wrote down my top 10 playlist, and just all the thoughts. I'm trying to think of what was annoying me yesterday, and what was annoying me 3 days ago, and what was annoying me last week, and just to get them all down. And as I wrote them down, I also categorized them between chasing thoughts and resisting thoughts to get an idea, like, where is my mind mostly? And it was mostly, as I was looking at it, Like 9 out of 10 thoughts were resisting thoughts. And I thought, wow, I spend a lot of time in aversion mode. Like, that's crazy. I wouldn't have thought it was that much. And what I also, as I'm looking down, I'm like, oh, here's a difficult person thought. Oh, here's another difficult person thought. Oh no, here's another one. And then I thought, oh no, I'm the difficult person, not them, it's me. Like it was just so obvious. I'm like, oh my God, because it can't be all these people are the problem. I must be the problem. And it really was just enlightening, like to look at it that way. And to look at it at a time when I wasn't caught up in the thoughts. So I wasn't in the resisting. I could see the thoughts more clearly. And I could very clearly see, I saw themes, the names would change, the themes were definitely there. So then I would just compact it down to a theme. Like, okay, we can take out all these individual instances. There is a clear theme for this thought. And what I saw for everyone, I'm like, every one of those thoughts leads to suffering. Not one of those thoughts ever gets resolved. There's never an answer. There's never a solution. The thought is the problem. And then I would look at it every few days, just review it so that I could be more prepared. And then when one of those thoughts would arise or something within one of those themes, it was just so easy to look at it like it was the thought about the music and go, oh, you're top 10. You're top 10. I'm not touching you. And then maybe sometimes the thought would keep coming back and I would then make a little joke out of it and I'd be like, and with a bullet to number 1, here is, this person shouldn't be bothering me. So, and I would kind of laugh about the ridiculousness of these thoughts. But it really did help me to be prepared for the thoughts. And we do need to be prepared. So I do encourage, and I know some of you have done it before, Libby and Kimberly and Sophie, I think you guys have, and Jackie, you guys have done this before. But do it again. Go back and write down your top 10 playlist and see where you fall on the chasing versus the resisting side. So you'll know which mantra you need to focus on more. We do both. We do chasing and we do resisting. I think in my 20s, they would have all been chasing thoughts, desire thoughts, right? My teens and my 20s. And so maybe there's something to do with old age in that all of a sudden we go into aversion thoughts. But it is interesting for us to see, like, where is your mind going the most? And if you know you're going mostly to resisting thoughts or you're going to mostly chasing thoughts, then you know you need to focus a little bit more on that mantra. And that can be helpful because the more you say those mantras in the meditation, when you're going about your day, it sticks in the forefront of your mind. And all of a sudden you're doing it and the thought just pops there and you go, here it is. Oh my God, I'm doing it right now. And when we know what the problem is, when we get pointed in the right direction, because of course the resisting, we're pointing outwards. They're the problem. It's always they're the problem. They're never the problem. I'm the problem. I'm resisting. And if we can acknowledge that and we can see what's really going on, and then do the mantra, as we're saying the mantra and breathing, we let go of the resisting in the story, and we come back into the present moment, and it's like, more evidence. Yeah, I was miserable a minute ago when I was resisting, or I was just even slightly irritated. And now I feel pretty good because I let go of the resistance. And now I'm really seeing that belief that if I don't get what I don't want, if I get what I don't want, I have to be miserable. That's not true. That's not true at all. It's just that peace is not resisting. We need to see this for ourselves.